This video is just to document the workflow I'm using for here. So what I've got is the spline line tool in 3dsMax, and I've got 3 points on it, and I've set each point to the Bezier corner type, and that allows for a lot of movement. So once you've got your hair strips set up, you can use the world space modifier called path deform. You pick the path and then you move it to the path, and you might have to change some of these or do some rotation to get it set up. Also 50% placement. So these are kind of like the defaults here, 50, 1, 0, 0, and then I've parented the polygon to this line. That way I can just work with the shapes quite easily just by dragging. But first I want to duplicate. I'm going to duplicate both, and they stay parented, and then I can always just switch to the shape. Right, and then I'm going to move that into place. I'm slowly building up this the hair. You can see I've used like a big card here, which is a repeating texture, and it just does a good bit of coverage. I also use that for the bangs, these kind of curling bangs at the back rolls. So I've kind of started on those. They're not perfect yet. I might have to play with some of the geometry just to get these lines to sort of happen. So yeah, I'm going to revisit those, but they're just in place as a first example, so I'll just hide those again. So now that I've got my line roughly in place, let's move that a bit closer. I can then just go into the vertexes and move those around. You can see I have to also rotate, but that's useful. Having control of each handle independently is kind of like needed for the shape of the head. You can see I can just move this one, but this is just like a nice way to place the hair. Have to watch the handles that don't overlap too much, because they'll kind of fight each other. Just move this back. You can also rotate things as well, so you have to be mindful of how this is working. I haven't yet thought about where I'm going to place this here yet, so I'm just messing around with the handles. You can always right click and do reset the tangents, just get them back, so that's kind of handy. I'm going to move this one up just to get it to make a kind of swoop as I move the handle down and get that, and then bring it in the way. Might have to use rotation. And really I'm just kind of making some gap filling sort of hairs. Go all the way in, and then if I rotate it so the handle comes out, get something like that. Yeah, so that's generally it. Once I'm kind of happy with it, I'll convert the mesh back to editable. So I can't put anything above the stack here because of the way this works. So I'll just collapse it, and then I can get rid of its the shape used for the path. I'll just get rid of that there, and I can work on it a bit. Maybe I'll double click that edge and pull it up a little bit. I can always pull it out and do other things. Like a good one to do is the FFD, either the box or 3x3. You can change the number of points to 2 here, and that means I can just fine tune the shape of it a little bit more. As opposed to using any soft selection or like that. And once you're happy with it, it's fine. I don't need to go back and edit these paths too much. Okay, so that looks fine. So once that's done, I'll go back to, let's see, this one needs converted, so I'll just collapse it. Just take away its shape. So once that's done, I'll go back to the mesh that I've got the symmetry on. Now this is just the top bit, and these are all the kind of extra clumps, so I'll put it in with that one. Just go to the edit poly and attach, and yeah, I want those two, and that one. There's a few ones that I'd worked on here, and that one. I think that's it. So now that that's done, I'll see it start to build up, bring the ones back on there. So I have to just keep processing it. It's taken a couple hours to get it this far, and I'll keep adding some extra things. I'm trying to imitate this thing here, so I kind of thought something like that would work, but it does look like it goes farther back, so I might revisit that. And yeah, there's a bit of a symmetry not quite perfect here as well. Bit better. Right, so yeah, that's mainly the process. How I made the curled ones is I made a spiral and then made it go to the spiral path. Or you can, you know, if you do twists on this, it's not going to be correct, the way the strands go. It's not the right kind of path. So what I did was made a spiral like a helix, and then drag it out and then up, and give it the radius roughly the same, so let's do 1.5, 1.5, and then you choose the height you want it to go, and then the number of turns, like that. And then I've chosen the extrude modifier, and just give it some amount, and actually got this. Then I edited the UVs, so I'll just do edit poly for this. And what I found was there was too many divisions, so if I select one of these edges and go to selection every second one, oops, this one, let's try that again. Every second one, and then control backspace. That will reduce that. Also the normals need flipped, so I'll just choose all the faces and click flip. And now I can go into a unwrap. I'll open the UV editor. Doesn't really matter here, but I'll do a kind of from view projection, like so, and then I'll just click this because I know it can flatten out square like, and let's just pack that. That didn't work so well, so let's try relax first. You can see it'll do its best to straighten out. I think there's a triangle in there, so it struggled. So I should get rid of that so that it can do its thing. Let's just check with that. Yeah, it ended up there. So I'm just get rid of that, and that way I can use the flattening thing because every polygon's a square. Yeah, so now if I click this, it'll straighten right out like that. And then I have chose the texture. I'll just apply the texture to it. Okay, and you can see it already follows the right direction. So I'll go back into the unwrap, and yeah, that's all good. I can do whatever I want with this, really, like change the size, and you see how it's repeating. I'll do something like that. See how dense I can get it by pulling it to the right. And you see how it fades at the top there, that's up and down this way, so that's the end that side, and that's the end this side. So you can get it to sort of fade like that. So that's that done, so I'll collapse that too. Then what I've done is chose edges and added an edge loop here. Alright, and with that selected I can use push. Push will try and push from the normal direction, so you can get this sort of thing. And then if you choose, right click on that and choose, first we need to collapse too. And right click on the edges, back in edges, right click on that and choose chamfer, and then just chamfer that a bit like that. And you get these nice bangs like that. So that is how I made those, and yeah, I can always add more divisions or anything. I click turbo smooth and I'll get even smoother there. I'm just going to get into the material to boost the normal map. That's a bit better. So yeah, if I just remember then, let's move this up. So with that already done and ready to go, I'm just going to turn off the normal map modifier because I can always add that later. Right, so I don't have a path for this yet, so I'll just copy one of these paths and drag it out, and I'll shrink this down a bit just so it's going to fit in the path. I need to reset the scale, so I can go here and do reset scale, and that'll do that. Now I'll use the world space modifier path deform, which you can find in the modifier list. It's near the top, path deform WSM, and then I'll pick the path and then do move to path, and that's me got it there like that. You see how it follows the path. You might have to do flip. Sometimes you do flip. This one seems fine, or percent. This one seems fine. Right, so that done. Now you have control of it through the lines here. You can move the vert, and you've got nice control of that, and you can play with the handles. so, and pull that one round and pull it up, and you should get some kind of like rotation from that, like so. Whatever you need. If it's easier, you can also be clicking on this, and you can play with the rotation here, so that's wrapping round, or you can twist it. You can also stretch it here, up or down, to get more out of it or less, and the shifting. So they're kind of useful, but I find just now and again I'll come here to do some tweaks to make it longer or something. I'll just undo so I can get the core shape back, because what I like to do is make a copy. Yep, so that's that. So the other thing to do is just make sure you parent the hair to the path just for convenience. You don't have to do it. It just means that, you know, you move the path, it will move as well. Well, it should move anyway, it doesn't really need to be parented. If I unparent that and move the path, you see that doesn't actually move. But if I move the verts, it still gets manipulated. That's kind of why, right? So that you can just use the paths. So I'll just parent that, and then, you know, if you want to make a copy, you just choose both, shift and drag, and then you can just use the paths again. That will be bound to that one. And yeah, it's a bit of a learning process for sure. You'll find setting up the hairs and stuff a bit fiddly. I used Hair Strand Designer, which is kind of handy for making real simple, quick hair strands, and this is good enough for me. You can do whatever, you know, suits you. You know, pre-render hairs or XGen or ZBrush, whatever you prefer, but I think it's quite nice just to get some quick hairs in place that do the job. Don't have to be crazy wavy or really, you know, different. Once you've built up all these different stacks of hairs, you get a lot of variation in it anyway, so they're not too uniform. You can get a little bit of deviation from this, you know, different waves, and use the mixers to get slightly different directions, and you know, you can taper things and stuff, but these are ones that I pre-made that are good enough for me. So that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoy using that method. Thanks for watching. Bye.